Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give everybody a few minutes to get on here. This will be the first class that we're doing, Life's Music. Those that are on already, throw a comment out. Tell us where you're scrapping with us from. Oh, there it went. Good morning, Wanda in Houston. It looks like we had a little bit of a pause there trying to reconnect. I'm not sure what that was about. We haven't had that. Morning in Florida, Waco. Still says I'm live. Is everybody seeing this still? Somebody could chime in and let me know. Are you an admin on Quick? Oh, there it's up again. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the class here. It looks like we're having some connectivity issues, possibly. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm going to let Patsy go ahead and get started. If we drop you for some reason, hang tight, refresh till you see a new live icon come up. If the feed gets dropped. I'm not sure what's going on. We haven't had that trouble before. So anyway, I'm going to try to work on it here. I may have to come back on Patsy's phone or something and see if that's better than the device we're using. But we'll go ahead and Patsy will wish you a good morning here and we'll get going.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great night because you have a busy day today and we have a lot of things to accomplish. Again, if you didn't tune in yesterday, the goals for today, because it is a busy day, we always focus on pages 1 and 2 and we get through the hard stuff on that, and then 3 and 4 are there to do on your own, and usually it's 3 and 4 are very easy, and most of the time you can just put them together by looking at the pictures. So that's what the goals are for today, and I hope you're ready to rock and roll because we are. And just keep in mind that we've had a little bit of an issue with our connectivity here, so if we lose you, we will we're going to be working on getting that back on just as soon as possible. So just refresh and
refresh till you see the little red live icon. If we lose it, we'll get back on as quickly as possible, but you may just have to refresh your feed until you see the little red live icon in the top. But we'll get going here. I'll try to monitor it and find a backup situation. I'm just not sure what the issue is. So we'll let Patsy get started here. Give me just a minute to get the video up here.
So go ahead and pop those kits open if you haven't. I'm sure you all have. You're all ready to go. But if not, pop them open and we will get started here in just a minute.
Okay, I will see. Where's your phone?
Oh, okay. So this one is a little bit challenging, and we try to do most of the things that take a little time first thing in the morning, because by the time the day's over, you're tired. And anyway, this has a little bit of cutting involved, and I'm going to show you here. You have a full sheet of paper, which is 8.5 by 11, and you have an entire bigger direction sheet, okay? So for the moment, we're going to use the smaller sheet that has all these cutting diagrams, and there's a couple on the back. They're not, the only one that has a little difficulty to it is this first one, and I think we'll do that one together, and then I'm going to give you a little time to finish cutting out the rest of these. The rest of them are not hard, actually very simple if you just look at the diagram and move on from there. So to begin with, I'm going to move these papers out of the way. And you're looking for 2 papers that look like this. We'll start with one of these, And if you look at your cutting diagram, this one with all the busy print and the arrows on the left-hand side, that's what we're going to work on first. And I'll show you what that is going to amount to. What we're building is an envelope here. And here's your closure, is your baker's twine. And it opens here. Whoops. Opens here, here, here. Here's a pocket for photos or memorabilia. A couple more little pockets here for tickets or memorabilia. Once you close it, we're going to be using these pieces that we're going to cut from our paper here. So take a look at this. And we have found the easiest way to do this is score it first, okay? You can do it by measurements, but I will tell you there will be many of you who are going to get confused by turning your paper, because you can see part is 3.5, part is 2.5. But if you take your trimmer or your scoreboard, score pal, and trim it at, score it. Let's go ahead and cut off this label to start with, and that'll get that part out of the way. And if you see this piece of paper and you're not seeing the little flowers here at the bottom, that's just the way the picture was taken. This is the paper that you actually want. It's checked on the black and white, checked on the back, and yellow flowers in the top right and the bottom left. So if you look at your sheet here, you're going to score it in from the right at 2.5 inches and in from the left at 2.5 inches. And eventually we're going to cut out these little corners, and we want to save those. So let's start by scoring 2.5 inches from the left. And if you've never used a trimmer to score with, this is what I do a lot because I just don't want to dig out my scoreboard. But if you have a Fiskars type trimmer with a little groove, you just put your bone folder, or it can be a credit card, a room key type thing, and just drag it down gently. And keep in mind gentle, because if you score it too hard, you're going to tear your paper. Now, another thing I would suggest, because we're going to use these little score marks as our cutting line. If you feel like you're not able to see this, you can take a pencil and just lightly drag that along, see? And it makes just a very faint line that you can see to cut by. So I'm going to start over here. Let's take this piece right here. Flowers top right, bottom left. Slide it into your trimmer or on your scoreboard at 2.5 inches. And go ahead and score it with either a bone folder or a room key. Embossing stylus also works really well. And then if you feel like you're not going to be able to see that, which it's really hard, just do a light pencil line with your pencil. That really helps when we come time to cut those corners out. Okay, so I did 2.5 on the left. Now I'm going to turn it around to do 2.5 on the right. If you have a scoreboard, you're probably not going to need to turn it around, but if you're using a trimmer like I am, a couple of light scores down it, and then also I'm going to do a light pencil line. And so now you have, it's scored on the left at 2.5, it's scored on the right at 2.5. Okay? Give you a minute to make sure that you have that all done. And then we're going to turn it one turn. So here's your score lines going this way now, and we're going to make a score line across the top, which this would be your top, at 3.5. So slide your paper in till you're at 3.5. And again, gently score. And I'm going to make a light pencil line again so I can see where to cut. So now you can see that we have these corners that are going to get cut out. So 3.5 from the top, score it, light pencil line, and we're going to also do 3.5 from the bottom. And again, we're going to score it. And eventually we'll need these score lines so we know where to fold our envelope. And I've got the score line. Now I want a light pencil mark. And we are ready to trim. Okay, there's two things you can do here. If you feel more comfortable using a pair of scissors and just cut straight lines along your pencil marks, you're going to cut out all 4 corners, but we want to save those corners for later, okay? So I think that I am going to use my scissors. Sometimes I just like to use my scissors as opposed to using my scoreboard or my trimmer.
Are you at a spot that you could pause for a second while I
Yeah.
say some things? Okay, so I have people saying, I hope I can keep up and things like that. So if you are having trouble keep up, comment, say you need another minute if you want to. Sometimes when the comments come through, they're delayed to us, so we don't always see them right away. We'll answer you as soon as we see them come through, but they don't always show up right away. If you are having trouble keeping up, don't stress. You have color picture directions in your kits, but then we're also going to download all of these videos to our YouTube link, and we'll send everyone an email so that you can go back and watch them. Facebook doesn't keep them more than 30 days anymore, so that we can't just leave them there. So we download them to our Facebook channel, or our YouTube channel, and we will email everyone a link afterwards so that you can go back and watch them. If you are missing something in your kit or you have cut something wrong, I'm not able to follow all the comments on here for that. It's rare that a kit is actually missing something. I've had somebody that accidentally cut something wrong, so I'll send her a paper. But I need you to email me customerservice@shopquickquotes.com or the contact form on our website. Sometimes not all the comments come through on here, and it's hard to keep track of during a day. So anybody that has that, please email me, and I'll put the email address on there also, or the contact form on our website. But don't stress. Today's supposed to be fun. If something goes awry or you're not keeping up, just go have a margarita and come back later.
Okay, does that go for me too? I can have a margarita? Okay, with that said though, I think I'm going to just start from where we began on this and just go over that quickly again. So here is your first paper, and again, we're cutting this all at the same time, or scoring and cutting all at the same time. So 2.5 inches in from the right, and you're going to make a long score line and then also a light pencil mark. 2.5 inches from the left, score line, pencil mark, all the way down. And then you're going to turn your paper and you're going to score it at 3.5 from the top, score and pencil line, 3.5 from the bottom, score and pencil line. And that should get you caught up to where we are right now. And basically now you can see on this little diagram that it says save this, save this, save this, save this. So that means all 4 corners we're going to hang on to because we will use them later. And again, now we are at the part where we're going to do some cutting. And you can use your trimmer to cut, or you can just use your scissors, and you're going to cut those corners out according to this little pencil lines that you made. And again, hang on to these pieces because we will need them eventually. So So this is just a fun way to have more space to add more photos. Say you have 20 photos and you can only get 8 of them onto a normal double page layout. Well, this one, you're going to be able to tuck excess pictures into that little pocket that we're going to make out of this envelope. And makes a great way to store pictures that you don't necessarily need on your page, but that way you can open that up and pull those out and show those to whoever's looking at your book. And this is just as easy to do on a trimmer. But you know why I'm saying this is because we even had a little bit of trouble with this when we did the in-person ones. And it just meant that sometimes instead of stopping at this intersection here, they would cut on up and it cut off a piece of there. So I just kind of like the scissor aspect. And then again, save all your little corner pieces, set those aside.
So I have somebody saying their screen keeps freezing. If you are having trouble, we don't seem to be having any trouble on this end now. If you are having trouble, make sure that you have all of your other tabs on your computer closed. Your TV is not streaming anything to it. That you're only, if your internet is questionable, that you're only streaming this. Otherwise, if you have too much stuff on there, it might slow your connection down. It might have to buffer, things like that. So be sure that you kick your husband off his football game and you tell him yours is the priority today.
That's dangerous. Okay, so let's set that aside completely. And then let's get back to, once you get all that cut out, that's the hard one. Everything else, I'm going to give you a few minutes here to go ahead and you're going to locate the next paper, which looks exactly like the one you just did. And it's the second diagram here. There's a few easy cuts here on this edge, but I will tell you, on this one, it says 2 pieces that are a 1/2 inch by 11. I would cut those out first, because a lot of times what happens if you cut these bigger pieces out first, you cut right through that. So start with your 2 1/2 inch by 11 inch pieces off the edge here, set those aside, and then cut out your bigger pieces. When you get to these two, and these papers look like this, okay, the one with the music in the top and bottom like this, blank in the middle. If you want it to look just like ours, you can see that both of these papers are cut similar, but the difference is that this first one you will cut from the top left of your paper, and the other one you will cut from the bottom right of your paper. And I'll show you why. And you know, if you happen to not cut it like that, it's just not really a big deal. But this is what we did. So here's page 2. And you see this is page 2 where your music notes flow across the bottom here. And then on page 1, this is page 1, you can see where your music notes flow across the top. So that's the only important thing to kind of keep an eye out for. And again, like I said, if you don't cut it like that, it's a lot of that's hidden, so it's not going to hurt anything. So let's go ahead and take a few minutes, cut out your floral paper. Then you have a music note paper that looks like this. That would be the third one. And then 4 and 5 are on the back, and you will cut these white papers with the music notes out according to your diagram. So while you're doing that, just a little bit about today. And again, you already know it's going to be busy. It's a little hectic to get yourself started, and I'm hoping our issues with the feed is going to resolve itself here, and we don't have any more issues with it dropping. We will break for lunch, and again, we're on Pacific time. We will break for lunch Pacific time about 12:30, and then we'll start again about 1. So each class is going to be, do you hear it? Oh yeah, train prize. See, we don't even hear it half the time anymore, even though it comes blaring through. Yesterday, there was a lot of trains, and they were loud, they were noisy. But Breezy has...
You might better explain the train price in case anybody's new today.
Yeah, if you are new today, well, Serena Hilliard, Serena Hilliard, you are our first train prize winner of the day. So to explain that a little bit, for those of you who are just tuning in today, our warehouse is like 10 feet from the train tracks. And in the beginning, we worried that, what are we going to do with that? We can't teach a class with the train coming. So as you can hear, it's really loud and it's obnoxious. But my son-in-law said, well, every time the train goes by, just give away a prize. So that's what we do. That's our first prize of the morning, and we'll be doing that all day long while people are working, busy, and like I said, we forget sometimes it's even out there because we're so used to it. So you might have to remind us occasionally. There are those people who live really close to us who are maybe 1 to 10 miles away, and they can hear the train, and they can say train prize before our train ever even reaches our warehouse. So if you hear it and we don't, I know it's kind of impossible not to, but send us a note and say train prize, and we will get that out to you. So tonight we also have, as far as one of the games, we have a Wheel of Fortune, and this evening, so keep in mind that we'll be drawing names this evening after our classes are over, and we will be giving away the prize that coordinates onto the wheel. So there's some really good ones, and there's some that are not quite as, you're not going to get quite as much. One of them even says a lump of coal. So I hope that's not you, but we do have that one.
I was going to say, did Stacy's boys ride it? Is there like dog poop on there or something?
Oh, yeah, well, Stacy's boys did come in, and you write on it this wheel with an erasable marker. Well, her boys came in and wrote, this is a candy bar, this is other candy, this is candy. So they were spinning the wheel and expected their mom to let them get the candy that they won. So we'll be doing that. We do have a video, brand new video that we just did the day before. We always say every year. Now we have to think of a video, we have to get it put together before the event. Well, usually the day before the event we throw something together, and it's corny. But this one this year is called I Don't Look Good Naked Anymore. So it might be something you want to watch, and you might not want to. It sounds horrible, but it was fun. We had a good time doing it. So there will be, is there a link, Breezy, to that?
Yeah, we'll put a link later.
Yeah, we'll have a link to the video a little bit later this afternoon. But while you are cutting those pieces out, I know it takes some thought, and so I'll probably repeat some of this later because I know you're trying to cut things out and I'm busy talking here. And that's a really long train. So a few more minutes here and then we'll get started. We'll see where everybody is. And if I get started and there's still a lot of you still cutting, let me know and we can wait a few more minutes. We're doing good here on time. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my papers here. Music note papers, 10 by 10. And again, if you don't get them exactly like we have them, not a big deal. Okay, how's everybody doing? Are we getting to the end of our cutting? This one has more cutting than the rest of them too. So this one's, well, it's another little bit of a challenge, and we're going to get it out of the way in the beginning. Okay, what is it looking like? Has everybody gotten to the end of your cutting? Okay, I think we'll get started then. And your very back part of the background, now we're building a background, so it takes several pieces here. And the very first piece on all 4 pages is going to be white. And the next piece is, if you've punched out your pieces already, you have 2 frames left that look like this. So another thing, and I reminded people yesterday, but again, I'm going to say it one more time, don't throw anything away until we are totally done with this kit. Then you know what goes in the trash and what doesn't. And some of you don't throw anything away anyway. I know you're going to put it in your extra stash. So you have 2 frames that look similar to this one. There's this and there's this. And they have a hole in the middle, but we've used those pieces elsewhere. So the second one is black checked frame. Now, there's 2 things you can do. You can use this side if you want to. We chose the black check, so that's up to you. And the Powder Puff Chalk Ink suggestions are Black Rose and Ruby. But as you can see on some parts of this kit, there's lots of color. Oops. There's lots of color in these pieces. So if you want to choose something other than that, these are just suggestions. So and the Black Ruby would be really pretty on the edge of this. I don't know if I have that one here, Breezy. Can you?
What are we looking for?
Black Ruby.
Black ruby, that's not a color.
I mean black ruby.
How about black opal?
Black opal one. I have it right here in my hand, so I found it. Okay, and then I also showed this yesterday. That can you hand me that box underneath those kids? So some of the chalking suggestions that you, if you've not used chalk inks before, this is a box lid or a box. Doesn't even matter. It just has a nice sharp edge. Or you can use the edge of your table. We do this a lot because it makes the chalking of something long and flimsy like your paper to go really quick. And so bring it to the edge and just run this up and down a couple of times and your edges are chalked. Turn it and chalk again. So see how easy that makes it as opposed to holding it up. And some of you are so used to holding it up and just chalking along the edge. And it's kind of like a Zen moment where everything just is kind of nice, peaceful, and it just helps you to chalk and get your day started. Really good. So see how that quickly that gets everything chalked up. Easy with just a couple of swipes. Sometimes we do the corners just a little bit more. And to do that, you just pull it off the edge just a little bit. It just defines it one little extra bit when you do the corners. So you can do this to both pieces. And I think we will go ahead and do page 1 and page 2 exactly the same to start with here. And that means you're going to add a black check frame to page 1, and then you're going to turn right around and do that again and add it to page 2. So chalk up your edges a little bit, add your black check frame, and again, if you'd rather use this side, now on this side you could use a different color of ink if you chose to use the floral side. Either side works, just decide which one it is. Take a look at the picture, the whole entire picture, and see if that's what you want before you glue anything down. So there's your black, and it's very little of the edge that you see. But decide from that picture if you want the floral side or if you want the black check side. And then you're going to take, and just keep in mind, I don't put much adhesive because mine are just samples. And sometimes I have a lot of writing, or I cut things just to show you how to do things sometimes, so I'm not really going to use this. So I don't use very much adhesive. And then you just center it. That's the hard part, getting things centered. Oh, I did pretty good. So go ahead and center that. You're going to do 2 sheets just like this one. White in the background, black check is next. The one, 2 pieces with the big hole in the middle.
Annette says, I bet black ruby would be a very interesting color.
I know, is there such a thing as a black ruby? Okay, so we should be getting close to having both of our papers ready to go. And I think I might as well do that too, because we'll be using that again here. So I'm going to go ahead and do page 2 also, just to get it started. And this gives us a little head start when we get ready to do page 2, if this much is already done. Okay, so once you get these 2 with the black check paper, now we're going to use the 2 pieces with the music notes. So on one of them, you're going to make sure, this is page 1 again, so page 1 looks like this. As you can see, the music notes flow up here across the top. Now here is where you can choose. Do you want to chalk up the edges of this? You want to just leave it alone? What I'm going to do is show you what it looks like with the black opal, not the black ruby. If you want to just lightly, and I would do, anytime you're using black, you want to start out really light, because you can always add more, you just can't take it back off. So that really is pretty. We didn't do it on our original sample, but that actually looks really pretty. So just gently add a little bit of black opal. Now I got black ruby on my mind.
Well, and Cheryl here is saying, yes, kind of a ruby. It is actually a red sapphire, and there are black sapphires.
Well, okay, then I am not so crazy.
You haven't lost your mind.
I haven't lost my mind yet. Day's not over though yet. But this is pretty. So I think if I were to do this again when I was designing, I was a little afraid that it would be too much, but it's not. So just go gently, gently, and even just a little bit more in the corners if you want. We usually try to enhance the corners just a little bit more. And then that will go on the front. So see, all of this isn't going to show on your black check paper because it's just basically a border, that little bit of embellishment that shows all the way around.
Oh, Jody's right. There was a train.
Oh yeah, see, there's a train. We missed it.
This one was a little bit quieter. Oh, here it
Well,
comes.
so far, it's not even here yet, so it'll... And what's nice about these black checks is that it lets you use the lines to guide your paper. Pam Fulkerson, if you can hear that, Pam, you are a winner. We will get these out to you. You don't need to email in. We have your address, but we will just automatically ship something out to you. Congratulations. Okay, there is page 1. And now page 2. The music notes go down around the bottom of your piece. And I'm going to chalk this one up too because I kind of like that. And again, it's really subtle. If you wanted to use this box, that also helps. Pull it to the edge of the box and just lightly go down the edge, a couple swipes, and it's chalked. Or the edge of your workspace. The edge of my design table looks like the edge of this box. So it's got a million colors of chalk ink on it because I do this a lot. It just is much faster than trying to chalk every little edge. So there is that. And again, this is going to glue on. Centered onto your black check paper, or if you use the floral side, centered onto that. But if you use the black checks, you can see what's really nice about that is you can use the checks as a guideline to make sure you get your paper on straight. I like that. Okay, we're going to set page 2 aside for the moment. And we'll work on page 1. We're only going to do part of page 1, all the things that need a little bit more instruction that you don't have to keep reading about. Anytime you might get lost, though, you have great written instructions on here. If you don't get quite finished, just keep in mind that sometimes on pages 3 and 4, there may be a piece of paper that we haven't cut yet, but I think we went ahead and cut everything this time because it says cut 5 12 by 12 papers according to diagram. And then it'll tell you to cut out your embellishments. It says to save 2 black rectangles that had the dyed black tabs come out, and that is this right here. I'll show you that before we get too far because we might not get to this. But these right here, sometimes we use those for a little mat, and that would be probably for this piece here. So save everything until we get done. Okay, so the first thing that we want to locate is a 2.5 by 10 music note paper, and it looks like this. I'm going to move this so you can see. 10 inches by 2.5. And since we chalked up the edges of this piece, you might want to just add some color to this. And some of this may or may not show because you have little pieces that go on top of it, but just quickly add a little bit of this black opal to the edge. And you don't need a lot. When it comes to black, for some reason black on brown or go on just a little bit different. If you're using like amaretto or mocha, you want to see a lot more of that. If you're using black, again, it gets away from you sometimes and you might not want as much as you started out with, and sometimes it's too much. Brown, you can almost put as much as you want onto it. So this is going to go here. The next thing, we're not going to glue it down just yet. The next thing you're looking for is a 1/2 inch by 10 inch white strip. Looks like this. And everybody also has in their kit a piece of vellum. One part of it says, "Life is one grand sweet song." And if you notice that on the outside of your album that you got, this is also the quote that's on the outside of that. So the album was designed to use parts of this paper line that we are putting all these things together with. So what we want is this little strip up here that says we can't always choose the music live plays for us, but we can choose how we dance to it. We're going to trim this out. Now this is important. Don't cut off any ends. All you're going to do is cut just above and just below, but you're going to cut all the way across. Don't trim off those little ends, because that's how we're going to attach it to this little white paper. So go ahead and get your trimmer out one more time. And trim just above that little gray messy line that you see on the quote. And just below that little messy line that you see on the quote. And on the bottom, there's more of a solid line, so you just want to be just below that, just slightly. And again, don't trim off your ends. You should still have these ends on here. So now you can see that the vellum is just a little bit longer than the white paper. So what we're going to do, so that you don't have to use any adhesive. Now if you put regular adhesive or glue, sometimes there is, I know some companies have promoted vellum tape. That works for a while, but a lot of times after a year or two in your photo album, it starts to show back through. So this way you don't have any adhesive, and it will never show that back through, because what you're going to do is lay it onto your white paper, kind of centered, making sure that once you fold these little ends back, it's not going to cut off either end of the quote. So just lay it on there, turn it over. You're going to add a little adhesive at each end, like this. Fold this piece back into, you want to straighten it out, make sure it's straight. Fold this piece back into. Okay, so there's that end. And then again, you're going to add some adhesive to the other end. And this, you really want to make sure it's on there straight, because this is how it's going to appear once you get it onto your page. And just fold that back into it. Okay? Okay, now that we have wrapped those little ends around to the back, and we have white in the back.
Okay, I have a question. Where is the white strip? Do I cut it, or is it already
Okay,
cut?
okay, the white strip was just a pre-cut piece just tucked down into your project. So it was all by itself. It was just tucked in among your pieces. So check it out a little more. And again, if you don't have it, that's something we can get to you. But if you have a scrap of white on your own, basically that's all it is. And it doesn't even have to be white. It can be a color, but you want it to make sure that it's a plain color. Because if I were to put this, I'm going to show you why. If I were to put this onto this vellum, you get all these busy notes behind it. That's why we use the white strip. So check it out one more time. It is cut there all by itself. So now that you have, if not, let us know. We can get you that. But again, it's just a scrap of white cardstock. So then once you get ready to put it onto this 2.5 by 10 music note paper, you add adhesive to the back side of the white, and then you can glue it onto this piece. And then this piece glues right onto, flush to the bottom of this paper right here, the one with the big music notes. adhesive. And keep in mind that you don't want adhesive at the top of this one, and I'll show you why. So here's the finished one. You want to leave this open as a pocket because as you can see, your photo mat's tucked down into this pocket just slightly, okay? So no adhesive at the top. But when you go to put it onto your page, it's flush to the bottom. And we put the white piece up probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch up from the bottom of this piece, okay? 1/4 to 1/2 inch up from the bottom because you still have a couple of strips of paper, and I didn't cut those strips, but you have 2 1/4 inch by 10 inch strips of paper that go right along the top edge of your pocket, and make sure again you don't glue your pocket down completely, and it goes along the bottom edge of your little 2.5 by 10 music paper. So the distance here, not a big deal. This one you just went up from the bottom of your music paper a little bit, and that's your quote. Save you a little bit of space for the little 1/4 inch strip of floral paper. 1/4 inch strip of floral paper here. And for now, that's all we're going to do to page 1. Everything else is a photo mat and these pretty little tabs that go at the top for embellishment. So, does anybody have any questions on that part? Make sure we get all that down just before we move on to page 2. I want to make sure that we get have plenty of time to do that envelope book that we are going to do for page 2. Are you hearing anybody that needs a little more time, Breezy?
Nope, not so far.
Okay, so see how clear, nice and clear that comes through when you add that quote to the white, and then wrap the ends around to the back, glue it down onto your 2.5 by 10 music note paper, then add 1/4 inch strips above across the top, 1/4 inch strip across the bottom, and then your photo mats we will leave till the end. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside. And now again, I'm going to show you this one more time. So this is your little piece that you, and now here's where a nice quarter rounder will come in handy. If you don't have one with you, it's okay, that can be done later. But a 1 inch quarter rounder, 1 inch, not corner rounder, 1 inch hole punch, and we're going to do half punches, as you can see right here. So if you have one, great. If not, then that's something can be done later. And then we did round the corners of these pieces also. So corner rounder and hole punch, if you don't, can also be done later. So that's our little envelope. Okay, everybody should have a 3 by 6.5 black checked paper. So let's take a look for that. And it should look like this. Three by 6.5 paper, and it's checked on one side and some flowers on the other side. And we're going to score this, or do a little scoring again. And you're going to score it along one long edge at 1 inch. So that means you'll have 1 inch on one side of the score line, 2 inches on the other side of the score line. So get your trimmer out or your scoreboard and score gently at 1 inch. You want it just enough so that it makes a nice fold. If you press too hard, you're going to tear your paper. So this is the piece that's going to hold it to your book. And again, see, you need this little flap, and it's right here. This is our 2 by 3 or 3 inch by 6.5 inch piece, scored at 1 inch. And then you're going to fold it so your black checks are on the inside. And then this is eventually going to end up out here, okay? And it's in, I think, about an inch. I will say about an inch from the left-hand side. So what we're going to do now, and again, you're going to fold that so that the black checks meet black checks. You're going to add your adhesive to the 1 inch part on that side of the score line. Okay. Now yours will look a little bit different than mine, and I'm going to show you why. This looks like it has lots of color up here. This is the same paper, it just happens to be a different part of the paper. So yours probably will look like this, the little script writing on it. It won't be brightly colored like this piece here. So with your adhesive on the 1 inch part, you're going to slide that in behind, and you kind of want to make sure it's in the right spot because it needs to fold down evenly. And it's in about 3/4 of an inch to an inch in from the left hand side of your page. So, okay, here, okay.
Okay, is the 3 by 6.5 pre-cut?
It's a pre-cut piece, yes. 3 by 6.5 is a pre-cut piece. Actually, no, I think it's a, you know how I can tell by rubbing my finger across here? I had mine punched out earlier, but it might be one from a die cut. If you can feel the little burrs on the edge, that means it's from a die cut. And that's possibly where this came from. So it's either pre-cut or you should have it in your checked die cut. So we good? Does anybody have any other questions up to now?
Not so far.
Okay. So again, this piece is 3 by 6.5. Score it at 1 inch. Fold it so that your checks meet checks. You're going to add adhesive to the 1 inch section on the check side, and that glues so your fold is flush to the top of your background paper. You have the 2 inch part will end up on the front. Your 1 inch part will end up on the back. And it's in about 3/4 of an inch to an inch from the left hand side. Okay, so now let's go get this piece back out that we cut the corners from earlier. And if you want to round the corners, and I'm thinking we will wait until we get this folded. So just to limber it up for the moment, go ahead and fold along those score lines. Fold along score lines. And there is kind of a top and bottom to this. So as you can see, the writing reads the proper way. So what you want to make sure is it's sitting in front of you like this. Fold the right end, the left end, and the bottom up against the score line. The top down along the score line. And if you have a corner rounder, we could do those corners right now. And so what you're going to end up doing, not the corners of the bottom, but the corner of the right flap, top and bottom of it, corners of the top flap, corners of the left flap, and we'll leave the bottom just like it is. So I'm going to give you a minute to get that all. If you want to go ahead and clip those corners, you can. It just kind of makes a nice finish to it. So, and if you also have with you a 1-inch punch, this is where, and I'm going to show you the sample again. So this is where this will fold up to make a pocket, but here's a half moon shape of a punch here. Then we're going to use it on the pockets, the little corners that we cut out. We'll use it again. And then also on the outside. So if you have one, great. If not, that's something that doesn't even have to be on unless you want it to. And you can wait till you get a hold of a punch. I don't know that it was on the supply list. But on the bottom, we're going to punch. So you just have a half circle. Okay, and it will look like that. Okay, is everybody this far? Okay, now here's where you're going to have to make a few choices. On our finished one, we have used on these, when the flaps are closed, we cut these corners down just a little bit and added a half circle punch. On the inside, they're pretty much just as tall as your pocket. So that's something you're going to want to decide before you start punching. On the inside, we used the black check side, okay? Then on the smaller outside ones, we used the floral side. So some of these will look a little bit different, and you might want to decide which ones you want on the front. For me, I chose this one for the outside, and I chose this one for the outside. These with the yellow flowers, those would be great too, but I turned those over and used those on the inside. So what you're going to do here, and as you can see, these corners are just slightly bigger. You can trim those down just a little bit. You can trim it till it's shorter if you want to here, and then make your half circle punch. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. Is even on these, you can see it's just a little wider, too wide for the space. Trim those down just a little bit until they fit like you want them to. And basically, it's about 1/4 inch. See, that's going to fit much better. And then you're going to make your little punch. And what did I do with my other one? So these are for the inside flap. Oh, I can hear a train coming. I did remember that one. Okay, we have a train prize winner, Joyce Coffee. Hi, Joyce. You are a winner today. Congratulations. We will get that out to you. Okay, so once you get your checked pieces trimmed down to the size that you want, and you're probably going to trim it a little because you don't want it hanging out over the edge. But you can make it the same height as your pocket, or you can leave it alone, and it's pretty close to okay right there. So now we might as well go ahead and make this pocket. And what that means is you're going to, this piece that we folded up here, you're going to add a little bit of adhesive on the right and the left. Leave the pocket side open. A little bit of adhesive on the right and left. And go ahead and fold this piece up. Okay? And now you're ready to go ahead and glue these pieces down. If you got them trimmed down to the size that you want, you might want them exactly the same height as your pocket. You might want them a little bit shorter. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. And if you want to trim out or punch out the corner here with a corner rounder, you can do that too. Totally up to you. But once you get those to fit like you want them, adhesive on left, right, and bottom. And I'm going to use my corner rounder on this one. It just seems to fit a little bit better because you've already used a corner rounder on. So I have a tall pocket and a short pocket. So there's short, there's tall, you can use it however you want. Okay, now that you have those pieces, we're going to close the right flap. Give it a little bit of a crease with your bone folder so it lays nice and flat. Close your left flap. And then here you're going to want to trim these down a little bit, I'm pretty sure. See, it hangs off the side just a little bit. And on our finished one, we made those pockets just shorter. Trimmed it off at the bottom. So that's kind of fun too. They don't need to be not quite as tall. But you can tuck little tickets down into those. And I'm going to trim mine down by probably 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to use the 1-inch punch to cut a half. Oops. Okay, and that's going to go there. I'm going to trim off just a little bit more because I want it to fit just inside that pocket flap. And again, if you want to round that corner on one of these, on both sides, it fits pretty much perfect. So adhesive on the left, right, and bottom, and then add it to the flap on your envelope. And again, we're going to just cut a half circle And any of these pieces as you go along, if you want to add chalk, this is the time to do it. And corner rounder. And that will glue to the left side. Okay, now we've got basically our entire envelope built. Now what we need to do is add a little closure up here, and that closure is, you have a black circle, and I need to remember where that came from. You have a black circle die cut, and then you have a colored circle die cut, and that is the piece that you're going to attach by poking a hole through your envelope top and adding a brad. That's where you add the string, your baker's twine, that holds it closed. So look for a black circle and a colorful circle, and they're just tiny. The black circle is probably 1.25 inches. And the colored circle is just slightly smaller. So here's the black circle here, looks like this. Has a hole in it. And the colored circle is just slightly smaller. And you will glue the colored circle onto the black, and then use the hole as a guide to punch a hole into the top flap of your envelope. And I believe, we haven't ever got to this far, but I believe there's another circle that you can put onto the back side to cover up that brad. If not, you can punch out a circle with your 1-inch punch, and it covers up the little arms of that brad. Okay, so black circle, about 1.25 inches, looks like this. A colorful circle, just slightly smaller. Both have a hole. You can glue those together, then add your circle to the top flap, on the outside of the top flap. Punch a hole through your top flap. And again, if there is not already a circle provided, use your 1-inch hole punch and punch yourself a hole, and it covers up that little piece of the brad arms. And then the only other thing is you have a long string of baker's twine, and this is what holds your book closed. So you're going to just wrap it around, tie, and probably one tie is enough. If you want to tie a knot, double knot, that's okay. But then you can clip the end off here. What happens is you will wrap this around your envelope, around to the back once, around to the back twice, and then you have this little bit of string that will keep your book closed by just a wrap around like that. And you're finished with, and spread those out a little bit so it looks pretty. So actually, I didn't tell you to put this onto your piece right here. So this book glues onto your flap. Add your adhesive here. You don't want to add it clear to the top, but about 1/2 inch down. Start with adding your adhesive. Okay, all over here. And then the back side of your envelope book will glue, and it's centered. This piece here is slightly smaller. It's not quite as wide, but you don't want those little ends sticking out anyway. So it's about 1/4 inch of your envelope will hang off the right, 1/4 inch off the left, and you're going to glue it on here. Okay, And then you have your entire little book where you can store extra pictures and little tags, little memorabilia. And then when you open it up, this little flap is the same pattern as the back side of your envelope. You can add another picture here. This will end up on the outside of your page protector. So you would slide it in here. This flops down over. That way you can actually use it, open it up, add your pictures, take them out. So, what time is it, Breezy?
We are 10:15. Next class doesn't start till 11.
Oh my gosh, we're doing good. So basically that's going to give you 45 minutes to finish out. Everything else is on this second page is a photo mat or these little pieces. You're going to have lots of these little pieces. They start out with black, and then you have colored pieces that go right on top of that fit just inside. They each have a hole, and these are at the tops of, there's 3 of them on this photo mat for page 2, 1 on the little music note, 3 on page 1, and everything else is photo mat and embellishment, and those pieces you should have everything cut now because we cut all 5 pieces of paper. And I think what I'm going to do is let you just move ahead on your own. Those things are easy. Basically, you're going to layer up the word Life's Music. You're going to add your little music note embellishments, your photo mats, and your tabs that go to the top of your photo mats. And you have pages 3 and 4. Can you hand me that, Breezy, right there?
This?
Those 2, yeah. Thank you. So pages 3 and 4, super, super easy. So as you can see, here is Life is One Grand Sweet Song. And photo mat, little embellishment of music notes. Page 2, also very simple. You have this black check piece in the background. You have photo mats, and music notes. So with that said, do you have anything you want to mention before
I don't
we
think
close
so.
here? And I'm going to let them work on for the next 45 minutes on this, and a lot of it they probably can totally get. Some of you will get it all done. Some of you will still be working on it tonight at the crop.
No, I think we're good. So, which kit are we working on next?
Okay, the next kit is called Grateful. It's called Grateful. So we will start that one right at 11. So if nobody has any questions, then we will be back right at 11. If you have questions, go ahead and post them and we can get back to you. Breezy can get back to you. Okay, we'll see you in just a bit.